10 PSA 10s in modern cards that I think the prices will actually surprise you. We're going to count down from 10 to 1, in my opinion, of 10 modern cards with the PSA 10 prices that are actually well and truly up there. Now, this can be a play in the Pokemon investing space. It's not one that I particularly delve into. I'm more focused on the sealed side of things. However, I do like to explore all sides of the Pokemon investing space, particularly on the channel, because that's what this channel is all about. So what I mean by that is it's a play where you can buy bulk examples of a card or pull examples of a card from packs, send them off to PSA or another grading service, hope they achieve a 10, and therefore flip them or sell them for a profit. Now, that's a play, a risky one albeit, but many people make it work and make good money off it. Here's 10 examples of modern cards where I think the PSA 10 price will surprise you. Now, you'll notice a few of these are illustration rares from the Scarlet and Violet era, and I'm actually going to do a whole video on that because illustration rares in a PSA 10 for a lot of the Scarlet and Violet cards actually fetch really, really impressive prices, but I'm going to leave that for another video. So this encompasses 10 of just modern cards. Could be promos, could be Scarlet and Violet, could be Sword and Shield. So let's start with number 10 on the list, and that is the Charizard Trainer Gallery from Lost Origin. This, in a PSA 10, is worth $73. Now, if you look at its actual price up on TCG Player, you'll find it's worth a couple of bucks. Now, look, the grading fee, depending on the amount of submission you put in, etc., or which grading service you send it through to, you might not get your money back, particularly if it receives a 9. However, as a 10, turning a couple of dollar card into a $73 card, I think that actually would surprise you. And hey, look, this isn't a bad piece to have as part of your collection as a PSA 10. Number 9 on the list. I really like this one because I've got a lot of these 3-pack blisters. This is the Umbreon promo from the 3-pack blister from Evolving Skies. These have shot up in price as a sealed product. And personally, I have a fair few of these in my collection. I really like it. I remember when Evolving Skies launched and I went into the local EB Games. Here in Australia, they sell them for $19.99. So it's probably equivalent of like $12.99 US. And I think they've just ticked over $100 US in terms of a sealed product price on TCG Player. But anyway, bought them at launch for $19.99. I can remember it was Umbreon and what was the other promo, the other Pokemon inside there? Was it Glaceon? Anyway, doesn't matter. All I said was the 3-pack blisters for Evolving Skies, they're like, oh, which one do you want? I'm like, well, obviously, just give me as many Umbreon ones as you've got. And I can remember just buying them. And I think for the long run, I know this is a separate topic, but 3-pack blisters can actually be quite a good investment. Now, I love the holo pattern that comes on promos inside 3-pack blisters. It's that sort of, cosmos effect, which I really wish just, the general holos in a pack now that you can pull still had that effect on them. But anyway, they don't. But this card in a PSA 10 is worth $105. So you can see why it adds a bit of weight to the to the sealed product. Like grading this and receiving a 10, albeit we know how hard they are to grade a 10 when it comes out of a 3-pack blister because they can be chucked around, banged here, they're not always going to come out mint copies, are they? But this in a PSA 10, surprisingly $105. Number 8 on the list. This is an illustration rare from Temporal Forces, and that is Ghastly. Hey, remember when this card was pushing north quickly and it was up to like 80, 85 bucks as a raw copy? It just felt like that was being tampered with that price anyway. But $117 as a PSA 10 for just a regular illustration rare. That is a fair bit, and this is a really nice Pokemon card. You can see, there's Gengar in the background, which I suppose adds a little bit of weight to it. Where are we up to? Number 7 on the list. Ninetales from Obsidian Flames. Again, another illustration rare from the Scarlet and Violet era. This is going for $117 as a PSA 10. That might surprise some people because, again, this card as a raw copy is worth like, what, 9 or 10 bucks? So as a grading play, and again, I said I'm going to do a whole video on this grading plays when it comes to illustration rares from Scarlet and Violet era. If it happens to get a 10, although it's very difficult, some of these illustration rares from Scarlet and Violet era, $117 for a PSA 10. Number 6 on the list. Pikachu from Paldea Evolves Pokemon Center ETB. That is the promo card you get inside it. It is the one stamped with the Pokemon Center logo. So it doesn't come in the regular ETB, it comes in the Pokemon Center version. This is $177. $177 in a PSA 10. That is that's fetching some big dollars, isn't it? But deservedly so. That is a stunning looking Pokemon card. It's got the the 3 new starters in the background and Pikachu, the mascot for the whole franchise, on the front. So probably deservedly so. Number 5 on the list. This might surprise some people. I've raved about this card multiple times, and that is Steelix Illustration Rare from Paradox Rift. Another absolute banger of an illustration rare, and $198 as a PSA 10. That's nearly $200 as a PSA 10. Don't underestimate some of these, what we feel are mid-tier Scarlet and Violet sets. I'm not saying Paradox Rift is the greatest Pokemon card set ever made. I'm not even saying it's an A-tier Pokemon set. I'm just saying don't underestimate them. There's some sneaky cards inside there. The Groudon's another example. I don't have it on my list, but that is fetching big dollars as well as a PSA 10. So just keep a couple of those sneaky ones in the back of your mind. Number 4 on the list, I'm actually surprised how this is holding up, and that is the Charizard EX, the special illustration rare from Obsidian Flames. So the main chase card, still at $218. Now, Obsidian Flames, I've knocked it round a little bit because, pull rates are relatively easy. Condition of the cards from factory isn't the greatest, so they don't grade that easy as PSA 10s. If this set gets a big reprint, it's probably going to hammer the nail in the coffin. However, if it doesn't get a reprint, it's currently like the second most expensive booster box from the Scarlet and Violet era. If it doesn't get a reprint, this could push up, and I wouldn't be surprised, again, if it doesn't get a reprint, that gets reflected on single prices. Cards like the Ninetales, cards like the Gloom, cards like the Scizor actually start pushing up in price a little bit because people realise, hey, it didn't get a reprint. I'm not saying that's going to happen. It could well get reprinted and prices get smashed to the ground. This $218 Charizard EX as a special illustration rare could be a $100 PSA 10 card or a $150 PSA 10 card if it gets reprinted. But at the moment, it's holding strong at $218, number 4 on the list. Now, where are we up to? We must be up to number 3, hey, and that is the Mew EX from Paldean Fates, the special illustration rare. That's a $270 card in a PSA 10. The Bubble Mew, as people call it. This is a really, really good looking Pokemon card, but $270 PSA 10, pushing $300. That is good, and that's one of the differences I think you'll see in Scarlet and Violet compared to Sword and Shield. A lot of Sword and Shield cards, the PSA 10 price isn't that much more than the raw copy. Like Umbreon from Evolving Skies now is pushing nearly $1,000 raw, but it's only like $1,100 or $1,200, maybe $1,300 tops as a PSA 10. So that multiplier effect isn't really coming into effect on a lot of Sword and Shield cards. It's surprising how much it comes into effect on a lot of Scarlet and Violet cards. Number 2 on the list, speaking of the multiplier effect, Charmander, the Pokemon Center Elite Trainer Box promo from Obsidian Flames. It's funny, Obsidian Flames has come up a fair bit on this list. Anyway, this as a PSA 10 is $455. That's its TCG player price. Whoa, I did not see that coming. That is pushing up there. And look, don't get me wrong, this is a fantastic looking promo, and the Pokemon Center stamp on it I really, really like how they've added that little extra throughout the Scarlet and Violet era. I think I just did a video on Pokemon Center promos and how if it's a good card, worth good money, particularly in a PSA 10, it's really putting some upward pressure on the sealed prices of those Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes. And you can see why there's upward pressure put on the Pokemon Center Obsidian Flames Elite Trainer box, because if you pull the Charmander out, which you're going to get, like it is standard in there, and you send it off to get graded and it gets a 10, it's a $455 card. That's phenomenal. Number 1 on the list, that is a Paldea Evolved illustration rare, the beautiful Magikarp. $564 as a PSA 10. Talking about the multiplier effect, I think this has tailed off a little bit. I think it's about $105 or $110 US card raw, but it is over 5 times the price of what it is raw if it happens to achieve a 10. Now, we know it's not the easiest card to grade. I think it's currently sitting at like 20 to 30% PSA 10 ratio, but still $564 in just an illustration rare for a PSA 10. And that's what I mean by that comment. You know, don't sleep on some of these mid-tier Scarlet and Violet sets. Hey, look, the final sets from Scarlet and Violet could absolutely blow these sets out of the water. And I'm not saying these are the best investment opportunity, because my play for Scarlet and Violet is to wait to see what comes. I'm buying booster boxes, like I've mentioned heaps of times, from every set. I'm always buying a couple. I've invested a little bit heavier in Paldea Evolved, and I've invested a little bit heavier in Twilight Masquerade because of the Greninja that you can pull. I think that adds a lot of value to the set. Other than that, it's not the strongest set, but people chase that Greninja. People just chase the big dollars, like gambling. I've done videos on that before as well. However, you know, I'm waiting. My play is to wait for the rest of Scarlet and Violet to see what comes out. I think, you know, of course, this latest set looks phenomenal, the one that's going to release in November. You know, we've got Team Rocket sets and Eevee sets and trainer mechanics coming back. So we'll see what happens in 2025. That could be just blowing the rest of Scarlet and Violet absolutely out of the water. But at the moment, they are my top 10 cards that I think just are surprising with their PSA 10 pricing. Let me know your thoughts down below. There's plenty of other cards that are surprising. Drop them down below if you've thought of some. I'm Michael, this is PokeOz, and I'll catch everyone next time.